Rob Henek. Rob is a collector and exhibitor for probably the last 30 years or so. You might have seen his exhibit called Spuds, Potatoes in the US at the Turn of the Last Century. And he also has a rather interesting exhibit on non-equine horses. Rob has been a state level judge for Wisconsin starting in 2002. He became an APS accredited judge in 2012. As far as Milcopex is concerned, he has served as our exhibit chair from 2001 to 2023. He has also been an author. He has written columns for Topical Time about exhibiting, and he's now writing columns for the American First Day Cover Society. Currently, he is president of the Wisconsin Postal History Society. So, Rob, it'll be yours to take away. Just a reminder, please mute yourself during the presentation. There will be an opportunity for discussion later. Rob?
Okay, just wondering how I get my presentation, share my screen with you guys.
Share screen is in the center bottom. You'll
And
see
just hit that.
share, click on that.
Okay.
And we should
then go down and click on this one. See if I can get this to work. Oh, control. No, I don't need control. Is that coming up? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and I will switch to a slideshow. Okay, I am old-fashioned. I started using WordPerfect back in 1994, and I've never gotten used to, this whole idea of Word less than perfect by Microsoft. So I stick with something called presentations rather than the Microsoft product. So that's what you're going to be seeing now. Yeah, what I was thinking about for this when you asked me to say something about postal history. I don't know that much about postal history other than Carroll County, Iowa, and I don't think that would be real interesting to a lot of people. What I do like, though, is the intersection between postal history and thematic collecting, thematic exhibiting, because in my experience, it seems that a lot of topical or thematic collectors focus their attention on the stamps. They get the ATA lists and they spend their time trying to fill out those, get everything that's on those lists. But there is a whole world of thematically relevant materials out there in, what, I'm referring to as postal history, but it probably is, what I'm referring to is probably a bit broader than what a lot of postal historians would consider it to be. So just for an overview of this discussion, I want to address primarily three things. It's not going to be set out as logically as this would suggest, but it's what my aspirations of what I want to do. One is address the issue of what is postal history. Two, what does postal history have to do with topical collecting? And three, how can I enhance my topical collection with postal history? And diving right into that.
Rob, we're not seeing your slides advance.
You're not seeing the slides advance?
No.
No, you've got a play slide show, and then you've got a screen that says no selection slideshow. So you actually need to open up the slides.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you've got rid of the one, but you still have the no selection slideshow, a small box.
Okay, let's see if I can.
I think you should
Content
just be able
only
to
is
click in the
background.
top right corner.
Yeah. Okay, it says content only over the shoulder side by. Um, Click on share, see if. Are you seeing anything yet, or?
We've got a slide saying what is postal history, and then underneath also postal history.
Okay,
We still have this no selection slideshow little box.
yeah, I see that now. Let's see if I can.
There, it's gone.
Okay, let's see if I can go back to play slideshow and see what happens then. Can you see anything now?
We've got the play slideshow box back, and then you were just clicking on the word play, but nothing was happening.
Uh, okay, then I can't do it as the slideshow. Why don't I just continue it here in the development box and just doing it with these slides? Is that going to work?
Well, let's try it. Let's try it.
Okay. Um, so I have to go back one slide. What is postal history? Traditionally, postal historians view it as addressing issues of rates, routes, markings, and means of transporting the mail. Uh, I'll be addressing those, but I also want to expand on that a bit to include other things, which are the topical stamps that we collect actually used on cover, illustrated mail where we have cachets or something like that on the mail, which would fit into our topical collecting. And then social philately, which is uh, something that's kind of new to the US, but uh, has been popular, I know, in Australia and some other places worldwide. And that also fits in nicely with the whole thematic or topical theme. Uh, First, if you're going to use topical stamps or collect your stamps, the obvious thing you can do is finding your stamps on cover, where they're actually used on cover. Um, this one would fit into my horsing around exhibit, the non-equine horses, because the guy's lifting a weight, and horsing a weight is the same thing as lifting it. Um, when you are collecting this kind of a cover or adding this kind of a cover to your topical or thematic collection or exhibit, it's generally best to try to find covers that have just a single stamp with your uh, collecting subject on it, or uh, possibly multiple stamps like this one that are the same. If you find a cover that has 6 different stamps and only one of them has your collecting interest in it, it obviously is a philatelic cover. And it wouldn't really be that appropriate for a thematic exhibit. Uh, it might be nice in your collection if you like the looks of it, but um, something that would be just the solo stamp would probably work better. First day covers are also are a first type of illustrated mail. Illustrated mail is when you have a cover, an envelope, something like that, that actually has some kind of an illustration to it, logically enough. Um, this is a nice first day cover for the Veterans of World War I stamp. It was produced by a gentleman from Milwaukee named Klaus Burkane, who did a lot of the Milcopex covers, a lot of the first day covers for issues that were released in Milwaukee over a period from the early 1970s through the mid 1990s. This is another first day cover from Czechoslovakia. It's more of a postal history type cover because it actually was used in the mail. Czechoslovakia between 1947 and 1992, when it produced its government-issued first day covers, it would allow people to use those covers even after they were stamped for the next 15 days for the face value of the stamps that were canceled. You'd have to add additional stamps if necessary to make up the postal rate, and that's exactly what is happening with this cover. You see the 3 Judaicus stamps. The one on the left, the 60 Halero stamp, is canceled on a different date than the other 2 that were canceled on the first day. This is an illustrated cover because if we see on the left, that is an illustration from a monument in the cemetery in the old Jewish ghetto in Prague. Another type of illustrated mail is, quite common, advertising covers. You could find advertising covers that have images or corner cards that are relevant to your particular topic. I have an entire exhibit of potatoes made up almost entirely of advertising covers. I also have included some other items in there. This is advertising a type of a planter. Having actually worked in fields, it doesn't look to me like it would be very easy to use, but that's what they're advertising, and apparently it was quite successful. When you are looking at advertising covers, be sure to look at the back. This is the back of that same cover. There often will be illustrations in the back as well as in the on the front of the cover. Sometimes there'll only be illustrations in the back. These are a couple of items that I just got recently for my potato exhibit. The design, as you can see, is the same in both of them, and what it is from a painting called the Angelus. And what it depicts is this young couple who has just planted their potato fields, and now they're praying over it, praying for good weather, praying for a good yield. I was surprised to find the hotel cover, the one at the left that's stamped, with that design. And that's going to fit in well in my exhibit. And then I found this older postcard that has the same image to it. So both of them fit in very nicely with my thematic exhibit for that. Another type of illustrated mail is event covers. We have show covers. For instance, Milcopex used to have a show cover every year, 3 show covers every year. This particular event cover is for National Airmail Week. Back in 1938, the federal government and the post office wanted to highlight the use of airmail and encourage people to use airmail. And so they declared this entire week of various celebrations and things, first flights, things like that. And many, many different cities, towns all across the country would do their own event cover celebrating something during that week. This particular cover has the first airmail flight out of Joliet, Illinois. So it could be something that could fit into a collection of airplanes. It could be a collection of first flights. On the left, there's a cachet showing Joliet, the Explorer from 1673 in an airplane. So it would fit into a lot of different types of collections. This is another event cover. And this one was designed by Klaus Burkane again. During the period from, I think it was 1971 through the mid-80s, Milwaukee would have the Great Circus Parade. And the Milwaukee Philatelic Society would do covers for each year when they had the parade and have them canceled at the parade grounds. This is the one from 1972, the second year. And there are a number of things in here that are going on. We have the cachet on the left and along the bottom showing primarily the 40-horse hitch, which was a bandwagon that was so heavy, especially when you add the band members to it, that the circus required 40 horses to pull it down the street for a parade when the circus came into town, or for this circus parade in Milwaukee. There was a gentleman named Dick Sparrow, who was a farmer in Iowa. When he found out that it had been since 1904, the last time that anyone was able to drive a 40-horse hitch, he decided himself to teach himself how to do it. And he ended up teaching himself how to drive 40 large, I think, or Belgian horses to pull this wagon. And he did it down the streets of Milwaukee, including turns. And so we have the 40-horse hitch there. We have a signature from Dick Sparrow, the farmer who did that. We have a signature from Chappie Fox, who was one of the people who promoted the circus parade in Milwaukee. We have a rubber stamp cachet with the railroad engine. That's pointing out the fact that the circus wagons for the parade were brought in by train from Madison, from the Circus Museum in Baraboo, Wisconsin. So that just has a lot of things going there. Another type of illustrated mail is patriotic covers, really big during the Civil War. This is one from the Union side. This is one from the Confederate side. I don't own either of these. They tend to be rather costly. But if you find one that fits in your thematic or topical realm, it would be a really nice thing to add to your collection. Patriotic covers weren't just in the Civil War. This is one from the Spanish-American War, which happened, around 1898 in there. After the Maine exploded, the Maine exploded in Havana Harbor. The U.S. declared war on Spain. They blamed Spain for it. It ended up just being a boiler explosion, but facts never seem to really interfere with something when somebody really wants to do something. This cover is postmarked from San Francisco, but it's dealing with or as a branch station in the Philippine Islands, which had been Spanish before we beat them in the Spanish-American War. And then World War II also had patriotic covers, Illustrated Mail. This one encouraging people to buy war bonds. I'd also note the cancellation here. We'll be getting into cancellations and, excuse me, uh, and different types of cancellations for later on, but note the slogan machine cancel here by war bonds. Kind of ties everything in the cover together, so that's a very nice cover for that. Okay, moving on to social philately. Social philately, just a second, I'm going to get a drink of water. It focuses not so much on the stamps or the way the mail is run, but rather on the social impact of the postal system. And it often focuses on the sender, the receiver, or the context of a particular item of mail. Now, this one is from George Wallace Jones. See in the top, it says free George W. Jones, SUS. In 1858, when this was sent, Mr. Jones was a senator representing the state of Iowa. And he is sending this one to Honorable John Scott, who was Jones's brother-in-law. Mr. Scott was living in Missouri at the time. He had been a representative in Congress for a number of years. He no longer was. And this letter was sent, or this envelope, since it wasn't a folded letter, it was an envelope, was sent in 1858, October of 1858. Just happened to be a few days before Mr. Jones lost his re-election campaign to return to the Senate. So, also, it has Dubuque, Iowa. That's where it was sent from. So again, a number of things that could fit into a thematic or topical exhibit, whether it's something about Iowa, whether it's something about the Senate, whether it's something about the fact that this Mr. Jones, the reason he lost is because it was 1858. He was pro-slavery, and Iowa had turned against slavery and was supporting the Republican Party at that time, and Jones was a Democrat. So just a lot of things that you could pull out of that to fit into a thematic or topical collection or exhibit. This, our old friend Mr. Jones is also on this one. He is the addressee rather than the sender in this one. This is a folded letter, stampless letter from 1840, and it was sent to General George Jones, not because he was a general in the military, but because he was the surveyor general for the territories of Wisconsin and Iowa at that time. It is a letter from the territorial governor, Robert Lucas, to Jones, and it apparently held a letter of recommendation for a young man who Governor Lucas thought would work well in the surveyor field with with General Jones. So again, a lot of history there. Substance of the communication is also or can also be relevant in a thematic or a topical collection. This one is a notice to appear for physical examination upon being drafted into the military in World War I. So if you collect military, if you collect World War I, if you collect medical, anything like that would fit into. Heck, even if you can collect flags, if you notice the cancellation here from Waukesha, this is an American, the name of the company is American, flag cancel, which you'll see a lot of in the early third of the 20th century. Okay, moving to kind of traditional postal history type concerns. Rates is the first one. There's not a whole lot of things that different rates would fit into a thematic or topical exhibit unless you collect numbers, something like that. This one is a letter from Dodgeville in the Wisconsin Territory, and it was rated at 10 cents. The number up in the top right-hand side, the stamp number 10, that was the rate. It was 10 cents. Since it doesn't say it was paid, this was sent collect on delivery. At the time, before stamps were required, mail could be sent either paid, or the person who was mailing it paid for the transportation of it, or it can be sent with the recipient having to pay for it. One of the reasons why we switched to the stamp system and the prepayment system was because, understandably, a lot of people aren't going to want to pay for incoming mail when they don't know what it is. But in any event, this one is the 10 cents, and it appears that whoever received it did pay it, and we go on. Okay, we go from rates to routes. This one is the only one I'm really pulling up as an image for this. It's a famous route back, shortly after before the Civil War, shortly after the 49ers, gold was discovered in California. California was then had a lot of people running out there for the gold rush, and there had to be some way to communicate back to the east. There was no telegraph. There was no, obviously, telephone. The Pony Express hadn't started yet. The trains hadn't started yet. So you had just a couple of ways to get mail from between the east and the west. One is to go by ship all the way around the Cape Horn in the south of South America. Another was just giving your mail to somebody on a wagon train heading west and hope it got there. Another was this route, which is ship to Panama, goes by donkey or whatever across the Isthmus of Panama, and then another ship up to wherever the destination is. This one is from San Francisco, and it's to Washington, D.C., and you'll see at the top, via Panama. So it's presumably it took that route. When you indicated on the cover that it should go a particular route or on a particular ship, it generally did that. unless there was a really good reason not to. So this one presumably went from San Francisco to Panama across the isthmus, and then by ship from Panama to Washington to the Commissioner of Pensions. Other routes that might be relevant, Pony Express, rural free delivery routes for some collecting topics that might be relevant, star routes, which were, those were basically somebody was hired to take the mail between particular cities, particular post offices. Railway post office routes, highway post office routes, those things might be relevant to a particular topic or collection. Okay, markings, excuse me. They can be topically or thematically relevant as well. The three main ways is place names or words on the markings, as I indicate there, like Santa Claus, Indiana. There can be pictorial markings. And third, the date on the postmark could be thematically relevant. For instance, if it's something that was mailed on Christmas or on someone's birthday. Now, in dealing with markings, I highly recommend this book. I'm going to get into a few of the different types of postmarks, but there are just so many, you can't get into all of them. You also cannot, in a presentation like this, get into all of the different types. For instance, there are so many subtypes of something called the 4-bar duplex cancel. There are probably 8 or 9 different subtypes of those. The American American flag cancels. There's an entire encyclopedia of those. Rural free delivery cancels. There's 11 main subdivisions and any number of minor subdivisions. So this is a great book to get and read through, just to understand the kind of postmarks you'll be running into for the most part. Some people will be getting things in the 1800s, and there are other resources for that. But most of us, I think, especially if you're just getting into using some postal history, you're going to need a little bit of guidance on more recent types of postmarks, and this would be the good thing to start with. If you're looking for markings from a particular town, for instance, from Horseheads, New York, or if you're wondering if there are towns' post offices that include your topic in the title of the town, this is a place to look. It's the Jim Forte Postal History site has a post offices section where you just type in the name. You type in horse, for instance, and it will give you all of the post offices that have existed that include horse in the title, whether it's horse pasture or horse valley or horseshoe or whatever. So that would be a good place for you to start looking. So turning to different types of markings, the one on the left is what we call a manuscript postmark for obvious reasons. It's handwritten. This generally happened in the mid 1800s. Reason being that small post offices were required to buy their own postmarking devices. And if you only get $5 for being the postmaster for an entire year. You're not going to be spending $3 of it to get a nice circular date stamp like you see on the right side. You weren't required to have a hand cancel. So a lot of them would just use the manuscript cancels and then just use a pen to cancel the stamp. On the right is a nice circular date stamp from Fort Madison, Iowa. Just going back quickly to horse pasture, that obviously would fit into a horsing around non-equine horses exhibit or collection. Fort Madison, that would fit into a collection of forts. It would fit into a collection of military. Also, Fort Madison, the actual fort that this town was named after James Madison, the fourth president of the U.S. So it could fit into even a presidential collection. Other hand cancels, top left, Horseheads, New York. That's just a nice circular date stamp. The cancellation is what I refer to as a concentric circle cancel. If it has, there are a lot of different varieties of that. If it has a black, totally black center to it, it's sometimes referred to as a target cancel. One on the right is what we call a duplex cancel. The Horseheads cancels, those are two separate devices. That is two separate stamps for the circular date stamp and for the killer cancel. The one on the right has the two of them combined into a single device. So just one strike of what we refer to as a hammer on the cover, and it both cancels a stamp and it provides the name of the post office and the date when it was mailed. The one below that is what I talked about earlier, was a 4-bar duplex cancel. It is a standard type of cancel with the postmark, circular postmark on the left and 4 killer bars on the right. And again, there are a lot of different varieties of those. The one on the left, if you look closely at that up by the stamp, there is the number 5 inside the killer bars. That is the sure sign that this is what we call a Doan cancel. During the about 1901 to 1906 maybe, the US government decided that, or the post office decided that it would be a good idea to actually provide stamps or cancellations to 4th class, that's the smallest post offices, and consistent standard postal devices. The result was these Doan cancels. There are 3 different types, and within the types there are a number of different varieties, but they're generally indicated by a number 1, 2, or 3 / and then another number. The second number, which is the number here in the killer bars, reflects the amount of income from that particular post office in the year before it was given this cancellation. If you are interested in Doans and want to know more than you ever thought you wanted to know, Richard Helbach and Gary Anderson have written a book called the US Don'ts, a catalog of don't cancellations. And you can either buy that if you can find it or take it out of the APRL. The cancel on the right is rural free delivery, an RFD cancel, or Hill. That obviously could fit into a mining or something like that collection. As I think I said earlier, there are 11 different general varieties of RFD cancels. The way to find out what kind you have is to get a hold of Harold Rickow's Encyclopedia of RFD Cancels, which goes through all of that. More recently, although there were some in the late 1800s, machine cancels. The cancels we talked about previously are all hand cancels, just a device like a stamp, and you stamp the cover to cancel the stamp and provide the place and date that you're mailing it from. Machine cancels allow you to take an envelope, put it through the machine, and the machine would do the cancellation. There are, again, any number of different companies that tried to make money from the post office by creating these kind of canceling devices. The one on the left, probably, I haven't really looked at it, but when you have the wavy line type cancel like that, it usually is from the International, or no, not the, the International Postal Supply Company. The one on the right, I haven't really looked into. You'll see that the one on the left just has the killer bars. The one on the right has a slogan. The slogan in that cancel can be any of a number of things that could fit into a bunch of different topical collections. Here, Red Cross roll call and join on a particular date. So obviously a Red Cross collection. Blood, maybe a collection, things like that. It could fit into a number of those. Obviously, that cover also could fit into my horsing around exhibit, because horseradishes are non-equine horses. The one on the left, First White Settlement, Chicago, and Father Marquette. So again, obvious thematic or topical connection there. Again, like with the postmarks on postcards, there is a very useful kind of beginner's guide to machine postmarks from the US. And that's this book by Russell Hanmer, H-A-N as in Nancy, M-E-R. And you should be able to get that, check it out from the APRL, or find a copy and buy that. And that could be very useful to you. More recently, as we all are aware, we've been using spray cancels to cancel and postmark the mail. It can be either just the kind of wavy line cancels on the left, or it can be a pictorial cancel like the one on the right. The one on the bottom, you might, as collectors, have seen sometimes. It's called a mailer's permit, or mailer's postmark permit. These are issued upon application, so people can use either pre-sorted first-class mail to get a special reduction in rate, or to use pre-canceled stamps on their mail. If you do not have this kind of uh, a permit, you are not allowed to use pre-canceled stamps, like the 5-cent pre-cancels or whatever. And whoever you sent something to could get hit with postage due. Pre-cancel postal stationery, Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. This could be something that would fit into a thematic or topical exhibit or collection. Um, Beaver Dam, obviously, is in Wisconsin. And again, they had to have a special permit. If you look right under the cancellation, it gives the federal statute number of what it's authorized under. Ship cancels and caches, they obviously could fit into a collection of ships. This one, the cancellation, it has Easter greetings, so it could be fitting into a collection of holidays. Cache on the left also is Easter greetings. The name of the ship is a USS Cachalot, which fits into my horsing around exhibit because cachalot is a sperm whale. And I can't remember right now what it is, but the non-fatty substance in the head of a sperm whale is referred to as horse because it's not really good for anything. There are all kinds of ships with different names that could easily fit into a topical or thematic collection or exhibit. If you want to find out whether one exists and if there are postmarks for that type of or that ship, you should contact the Universal Ship Cancellation Society at uscs.org, and they sell a catalog on postmarks and a separate catalog on cache makers who create caches for ship covers. This is the Mauritania. This is another type of ship cancellation. She was a British ship, and this was canceled obviously in Liverpool, but the cancellation on the triangular cancellation on the lower left indicates that this was the maiden voyage. So this was canceled and sent on the very first voyage of the Mauritania from Liverpool, England to the US. Fancy cancels are a different kind of philatelic item that easily fits into a topical or thematic collection. The ones at the top are from the 1800s, and there are many that are, even, much more detailed. For instance, the running chicken, I think, and others from, I think it's Waterbury, Connecticut. And a lot of these were created during the 1870s, 80s, and even 90s. Basically small post offices, a lot of them, some of them had the money for cancellations, like the third from the left appears to be a machine-made cancellation. But a lot of fourth-class post offices, they had time, they didn't have money, they had corks from models, and they would carve the cork into a particular design and use that until it wore out to kill the stamps so they couldn't be reused. That ended in the 1890s when the post office decided they wanted more consistency in the design of cancellations and postmarks. In the early 20th century, the one on the bottom, we had another kind of explosion of fancy cancellations. If you can't tell what that is, it's supposed to be an ear of corn. They're canceling the stamp and the postal stationery. Sorry. And the basic thing that happened there is the post office issued a regulation requiring that registered mail not be canceled on the front with anything that indicated either the date or the post office from which the letter was mailed. Those kind of things were supposed to be on the back of the envelope. And what happened is some fourth class post offices and some collectors got together and decided that we can, both do better, both do well by coming up with something novel to use to cancel the stamps on the front of registered mail. And what some of them ended up doing is coming up with this idea that we would use fancy cancels on the front. Sometimes it would be cancels that would match the name of the town. This one, technically, since it's corn and the name of the town is Fairfield, it kind of stretches it a bit, but it kind of makes sense. Others, airplanes. Others, Santa Claus. A whole bunch of different type of fancy cancels. That lasted from, let's see, 1924 when the regulation started until 1934 when the post office decided they'd had enough of this and they banned pictorial cancellations. The reason why the fourth class post offices were willing to do this is because their income was based on the amount of mail that was posted from them. So the more mail that they were able to send out from that post office, the more the postmaster made. So when you have a bunch of silly stamp collectors wanting to get copies of cancellations from your post office, yeah, they're all for it. Pictorial cancellations made a comeback in the, I think it was 1958. The first day cancels, the post office decided to start adding little pictorial additions to the first day of issue cancels. So that started with a gardening issue. I think it was in 1958. And this lasted until sometime in 1961. And what they did is it's very consistent. They had the killer, the first day of issue, on the right. On the left, either above or below, they'd have the dial with the name of the post office and the date, and then either above that or below that, a small thematic design that matched the subject of the stamp. So here, water conservation, water is life. They ended that in 1961. They started back up, let's see, in 1986. As I understand it, they started back up with the pictorial first day cancels. And this is a more recent one where they've gotten into doing it digitally, where you could get either a regular black and white cancel, or you could get a full color digital cancellation. Again, that fits into a lot of different exhibits or collections. This up here at the top, Praha Den Vidani, is first day. That's for my Czech Judaica exhibit, the Czech stamps that were released in May of 1967. A lot of foreign countries, foreign post offices did and still do pictorial cancellations for their new stamps, first day covers. So if you have a list of stamps, foreign stamps that meet your topic, your thematic, and if that country does first day covers, it's pretty likely that there will be a first day cover for that stamp, and possibly a first day cancellation that is also thematically derived. Pictorial cancellations. In 1971, the post office, I think it was still the post office, it was just before it turned over to the US Postal Service, allowed its first official pictorial cancellation on regular mail since 1934. It then started authorizing pictorial cancellations for stamp shows. And then they just started allowing them a lot more. You can request special cancellations like this for an event. And they had gotten so popular by the late 1980s that they were listed in the postal directory when they would come out and how you could obtain them. So if you go back through the postal directories, and those are all online, by the way, if you go back, you could probably find that there were pictorial cancellations like these regular first class mail postal cancellations for something in your topic or thematic. Registered markings. Again, nothing on the front suggesting a particular town or anything, but these are registered postmarks. Generally, you will see when there's registered mail, the postmark on the back will be a special registered postmark rather than the ones that were used for first class mail. That's just a nice 3-color combination there. Auxiliary markings also can be thematic. Here, this was a letter that was addressed to Horseheads, New York. Somehow it ended up in Horseshoe, Virginia. And there's this, must have happened a lot because they had a rubber stamp cancellation or rubber stamp auxiliary marking created, missent to Horseshoe. So that would fit in really well in my exhibit. Meter stamps. I say markings with a question mark because I don't know if these would actually count as markings because they aren't put there by the post office, but meter stamps often have these slogans to the left of the value marking. So here we have Iowa Centennial Year, and this bodied by Fisher with a stagecoach. This one other, so there could be, any number of things uh, there, the slug that's put in there. Also note that for Pitney Bowes, here the U.S. cancellation or the U.S. meter for Pitney Bowes, that's an eagle in there, U.S. eagle. Different countries where Pitney Bowes meters are used will have different designs in there. Mexican meters, for instance, have the eagle and snake indicia or eagle and snake design from their flag in between the dial here and the value. And other countries have different designs in there. This is another thing that's kind of oddball, so I put it here. A railroad post office facing slip. These are kind of hard to find because they were printed on extremely fragile and not very strong paper. So it's probably very acidic. They crumble if they aren't kept well. And what this was is in a railway post office, inside the car as it's traveling along, it collects mail along the route. And then they sort it to figure out where it should go after the train gets to the next stop or to the end of the line. And so the railway, the people working in the RPO, first they take each of the letters and they face it, meaning they put it all in the same direction. That's why this is called a facing slip. They then will put one of these slips on top to show where it is supposed to go next. And then all of the slips that are going to Iowa can be bunched together, put into a bag, and sent to Iowa. All of the ones going to Minnesota would be bunched together, put into to go to Minnesota. And that's the way that mail at the time was accomplished much more efficiently, it seems, than how mail is handled today. They, got things places with a speed that we just would dream of today. But that's something, if you can find it, this one was covering mail from Beaver Dam, and then it has another one of those numeral duplex barrel cancels. Means of transportation, and I'm just doing this real quickly. The railway agent or post office, because these things might fit into what you collect somehow. Highway post offices, that's an HPO bus. RFD, rural free delivery, can be by wagon, by horse, motorcycle, or jeep. If you know how the particular delivery person used it, that would help to add something to your collection. Special delivery can be by foot, bicycle, or motorcycle. Airmail, Zeppelin, plane types. The first airmail was, I can't remember if that was a Jenny or if that was a something else, but what kind of airplane was using it. And so if you get airmail that was carried by that type of a plane, that fits right into a collection of airplanes. Ship, you can find the ship name and the ship type, and that obviously would fit into a collection of ships. Mule train, I'll be talking about. Local posts, balloon mail. If you collect balloons or air travel, that would fit in. Railway agents or post offices, you can tell it's a railway post office, usually it has two names, two cities or more. This one, Chicago, Marion, and Omaha. And there's an ampersand there. That's an indication that this is either a railway post office or it could also be a highway post office. But you look down here, RPO shows that it's a railway post office. Highway post offices in the 1940s, when trains were far past their heyday, mail transportation was shifted. They started shifting it to buses delivering mail along the route to various post offices, collecting mail, and then transporting it on. And they were buses like this that were run pretty much like a railway post office, where you have the slots and all of that, and standing up and sorting the mail while you're moving along. Dog sled mail. In Alaska, there really was official dog sled mail used before airplanes could get to just about everywhere, to transport mail to outlying settlements and post offices. If you collect dogs, that obviously is something that would fit into that. Finding actual dog sled mail is kind of difficult because it wouldn't necessarily say dog sled mail on the cover. You would have to do some research to find out where dog sled mail operated, between what cities. This one is kind of a special event cancel, I think, or cachet. Although there definitely were, I checked, dog sled mail going out of Tanana at that time in 1945 still. Just about done. Mule train mail. There is, I think, still official mule train mail going from the rim of the Grand Canyon down to the Havasupai Indian Reservation that is down in the Grand Canyon. Obviously, there are no roads going down there. And so the best way to carry the mail down there is by mule train. Post office has authorized that since 1930. It's been doing that. Local posts. There's any number of local posts. There's Rattlesnake Island local post. Sometimes they're just, well, they're almost always purely philatelic, but the kind of superficial rationale for it is that this is a post to get mail from a particular place that doesn't have a post office to a post office. So for instance, the McAuliffe Ranch local post here would charge, it looks like 5 cents to carry mail from the ranch to the post office, apparently in Santa Fe. And that's what I got.
So thank you, Rob. If we can now sort of throw it open for some questions, comments. So any of you who have thoughts that you want to share with Rob or with the rest of us, if you'd unmute yourself and give us your thoughts.
Rob, this is Mark Meyerly from Milwaukee Philatelic. Great presentation. Love the tie-in to the topical. As someone who's newly involved and most interested in the topical aspects of things, but having their interest piqued by postal history and all the other nuanced parts of the hobby. I thought this was really great, and I really appreciated it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm glad I'm glad somebody liked it. And I was impressed that 31 people actually stayed through the whole thing. So,
But we had more.
yeah,
We had more at different times. So, Rob, let me ask you a question.
sure.
You mentioned first day covers in Thematic and Topical. I did a presentation back in January for Mi Oficina, the, I guess, collecting community in South America. And the suggestion was that at international exhibitions, they don't like first day covers in thematic collections. Do you have any thoughts on that from a national perspective?
Uh, yeah. Well, national or international, they don't like first day covers internationally, but the national level, I wasn't going to uh, get into it because I figured this was a more basic presentation. But exhibiting, um, technically, when you're doing a thematic exhibit, and you're saying this is a thematic exhibit, you are not supposed to use illustrated mail of any type. So no first day covers, no advertising covers, no patriotic covers. Um, if you are doing a topical exhibit according to um, the manual, the seventh edition of the manual, your topical exhibit. Uh, I don't understand why there's the difference there, but are you still hearing me? My thing
Yeah.
is saying internet is unstable. Um, But the way that you handle that in a US exhibit is you do not label your exhibit as a thematic exhibit or a topical exhibit. You label it as a thematically organized exhibit in which I am using, X, Y, and Z kind of materials to tell the story. Um, in the seventh edition of the Judging and Exhibiting Manual, they are trying to emphasize the importance of exhibitors um, choosing what they are going to exhibit and respecting that. Uh, it may end up being something that is not uh, as important or as difficult. So you might get knocked down points for those kind of things. But you should be able to exhibit what you want to exhibit and have the judges judge it based on that. Uh, so, just another thing you might do is just say this is a thematic exhibit with added illustrated mail.
Okay. Now, Rob, you mentioned one thing there that was important. You said that this was more of an introductory talk. For the benefit of those who are on the talk who may not know the difference between thematic and topical,
Okay.
do you want to just explain a little bit what the difference is there between those two categories?
Okay. A topical collection or exhibit, or in a topical collection or exhibit, every item illustrates the subject of whatever topic it is. So if you are doing a topical exhibit or collection of horses, everything in that exhibit uh, has to have a horse on it or should have a horse on it. There is some in a thematic, on the other hand, I'll go ahead and do that first. In a thematic, on the other hand, what you're doing is you're telling a story. So a thematic exhibit on horses would include everything from historical development of how the horse came about, that what we call a horse today, how that being came about, um, from how it developed from, the creatures first crawling out from the primeval ooze or whatever it was, to today. It would include what horses eat. It would include how we use horses. It would include dressage and all kinds of things that don't necessarily have horses in the pictures. It's telling the story of the horse. A topical exhibit is just, see, these are all my pictures of horses. So that's the difference. There is a dispute, although I may be the only one on my side of it, over whether in a topical exhibit, something which is, where it's only the word, like horse cave. It says, so it says horse cave, but it doesn't have a picture of a horse or a cave, whether that counts as illustrating, the horse. Ed Andrews, who did a hell of a lot of work and created the manual and the description between thematic and topical in the manual. He says they have to actually illustrate it, do a picture of it. I think that if something says something about a horse, that it illustrates it. But again, it is not that important. It's what, a tempest in a tea kettle, because you can avoid that by just saying, this is what I'm doing in my exhibit.
Right.
So, but basically, I think I already answered the difference between a topical and a thematic.
Well, thank you for doing that, because I think for many people who are not yet an exhibitor, it's a very important distinction that they may not necessarily know the difference. So
Yeah.
thank you for explaining that so well. So do we have any other questions or comments for Rob?
Hey,
Well,
Colin, this is Mike Wilson. Just want to offer two comments to Rob. First off, really enjoyed your presentation. I grew up in Milwaukee, so I enjoyed seeing that 40 horse wagon being there. That cliche. I was living there when I was 15 years old, and I went to the parade that time, which was great. The other thing I want to mention, you mentioned Santa Claus, Indiana. I recently started to edit the Yule log for the Christmas Philatelic Club, but I don't collect Christmas stuff. It's fascinating stuff. That's the first time I heard of Santa Claus, Indiana. I just got done editing a story today about that very town. Fascinating place, great postal history. So
Uh,
good to see that in your material. So thank you for your presentation.
well, you're very welcome. Thank you.
And this is Mary Ann, and I just want to say that hopefully some of our people, especially the new and beginning exhibitors, found some ways to add postal history to their exhibits and to their collections. And I also want to put in a little plug. You didn't mention Vmail, and we are going to have a special postal history program on Vmail on September 21st. So maybe with that presentation, we'll get other ideas on how Vmail can be added to a topical collection.
Well,
Yes.
thank you for that, Marianne. Frank actually was on the talk this evening, hearing Rob's presentation. So,
Oh, very good.
It was an excellent point on the Vmail. I thought of that this afternoon, but I had already put in so much work, and I had 40 some slides, and my voice is going, so I figured that's I already had enough stuff.
So before we close out here, Colin, do you want to say anything about the next program?
yeah, I would like to. Well, I'd like to say two things actually. I first of all want to mention that the application form for exhibits is now available. I know a number of us have emailed the forms to different people, hoping that they will choose to exhibit. The application forms are also available through the website, which Marianne mentioned at the beginning, milcopex.org. And the next presentation is, I guess you call it's in construction as we speak. It's going to be a discussion about how you interpret a cover or how you analyze a cover. It kind of follows from Gary Lowe's first presentation, the first presentation that we had back in January. And we're going to have a small panel of 3 people who will look at different covers and talk about what they see in the cover. So it'll be, as I say, kind of a workshop type arrangement, very informal. And obviously, if any of you have a particular cover that's troubling you, causing you difficulty in understanding what you're looking at, you could either send it to myself at at cs.com, or I think we're going to have a facility where you can send it via Jim Meverden and the website. So if any of you have covers that are troubling you, we would be delighted to have them for that next meeting, which will be on the 13th of April. As I say, we're just finalizing the details, so you may find more information on the show website. Was that what you wanted me to say, Marianne, or is there anything you want to add?
Oh, that's good. Thank you.
Okay, well, I would like to thank you all for attending, but more importantly, I want to thank Rob for putting this together. I certainly learned a lot of different ideas of how postal history can be included in thematics. It was certainly a revelation and an eye-opener for me, just the scope of what you can actually do. So, Rob, thank you very, very much for putting this together for us.
Well, you're very welcome. And thank you, everybody, for showing up for this. So, okay.
Okay. Well, I wish you all a good evening. And I'm sorry, did somebody have a comment?
No, I said good night. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Good night. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording at this point.